This is Nanette Hosenfeld of the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for Monday, December 7th, 2015. Looking at precipitation over the past 30 days, you can see that there has been precipitation observed across much of the Great Basin. However, if you look at the percent of normal, which is the map on the right, you can see that pretty much the entire Great Basin has been below normal over the past 30 days. So any of the colors in the yellows or reds are below normal, and that's really pretty much the entire area. So it has been much drier than normal over the past month across the Great Basin. The infrared satellite shows zonal flow across the area, which means pretty much westerly winds from the coast into the entire Great Basin. And that's bringing quite a bit of moisture and clouds, but not a lot of precipitation, as there's not a strong system that will bring us precipitation. So looking at mixing for the Great Basin today, you can see that most of the area is in that Port-a-Fair range. In general, mixing will be a little bit better across the southern part of the Great Basin than the northern part of the Great Basin. There is that small pocket in northern central Nevada where there could be some excellent mixing, but overall, we are looking at generally Port-a-Fair mixing across the area. And looking at that in a little more detail, you can see that in most areas we will see light transport winds. That's the image on the left. And winds are pretty light with the exception of northwestern and central Nevada. And with those light winds, we do see poorer mixing. And looking at mixing heights, we want to see high mixing heights for good mixing. And really the only place we're seeing those high mixing heights is across north central Nevada. And so that's why, the only area that does have the potential for excellent mixing this afternoon is that small pocket in north central Nevada. Moving into Tuesday, we will see high pressure build, which will bring a downward trend in mixing. You can see that if we look at the mixing height and transport winds in more detail for Tuesday, those both decrease. We'll see lighter transport winds and lower mixing heights, and so as a result, we will see a decrease in the mixing across the Great Basin on Tuesday. As we move into Wednesday, winds will begin to increase across the western part of the Great Basin ahead of the system. And as a result, mixing will begin to improve, mainly across western Nevada on Wednesday. When we look at the surface values in more detail, you can see those transport winds are quite a bit higher on Wednesday, especially across western Nevada, and with higher mixing heights as well. We are expecting better mixing on Wednesday. Taking a look quickly at the Utah Forecast Clarity Index, you can see that same trend reflected here in the forecast. Mostly Port-a-Fair mixing on Monday and Tuesday, and then a slight improvement moving into Wednesday with increased winds and heights ahead of the approaching system. The 3-day precipitation accumulation forecast shows precipitation mainly across the northern part of the Great Basin, so most of Idaho and extreme northern Nevada and northern Utah could see some precipitation in that 3-day period. As we move into Thursday, models are currently forecasting that system to make its way into the Great Basin. You can see that mixing will be much better across the western part of the Great Basin on Wednesday, with excellent mixing across much of Nevada and portions of western Utah and southwestern Idaho. That improvement will continue into Friday, with much of Utah now in the excellent range. And on Saturday, with that system making its way to the east, we'll begin to see a downward trend again in mixing. However, another system is possible to impact the area this weekend, which would lead to an improvement in mixing values. And you can see that the mixing does improve again briefly on Sunday, mainly across Nevada and portions of southwestern Idaho and northwestern Utah. Precipitation accumulation in the 4 to 5 day range will be in place across much of the Great Basin. You can see Utah, Nevada, and Idaho all are forecast to receive precipitation in that 4 to 5 day range. And that is due to that system that we're expecting later this week. Finally, looking at the 8 to 14 day outlook from the Climate Prediction Center, they are calling for below normal temperatures across the entire Great Basin with above normal precipitation. So for any of you skiers out there, any of your outdoor enthusiasts that love the snow, this is good news that this is what ends up happening. So that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to let us know. Thanks.